Hi, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Politics with Sherry Jacobus. Thank you for subscribing. And if you're not a subscriber, I hope you will be after watching this. Uh, Look, there are many ways to try and deal with MAGA, the MAGA cult. I think most of us, if you're watching my YouTube and you follow me on Twitter, or if you subscribe to my podcast over on Patreon, you're probably kind of with me on that. We accept the fact that MAGA is a cult. Now, not all Trump voters are MAGA, but are in a cult, but a good many of them are, and they have to be dealt with differently. So, why does not basic math or basic information affect them? They could be having a regular conversation. You give them a piece of salient information that they should have. You're talking to them like a normal, smart adult human being. Some of it is they don't get the information. They don't know what they don't know. And as I've noted before, the project that I had in 2019 and 2020, America Reads a Mueller Report, was designed to reach into the Trump voter world and find those people in the margins who were not part of the cult, but simply did not know what they didn't know. They didn't know Bill Barr had lied to them because they only watch Fox News. Maybe they aren't on Twitter, they might be on Facebook. There are certain demographics, certain states, and I was targeting those battleground states. Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, places like that, and a few others. And so we try to reach them how they get information and not be in your face going hard negative to put them on the defensive. So you have to wonder, here's a pretty big piece of information. And this is by Grok, AI, Elon's own AI, that the pre-election probability of one candidate winning all 7 swing states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, was about 1% based on 538's final forecast models, or roughly 1 in 100 odds. And yet Trump did win them. And Elon Musk has stated that his efforts contributed to that outcome. Okay. We know that where possible, Trump will cheat. Just accept that. Once you understand that he's cheated at everything in his life. So we don't even need to have that debate or that discussion and claim that everything he does is on the up and up. He cheats at everything, always has. His marriages, business, elections, everything. He cheats at contractors. He just doesn't pay people. That's how some rich people get to be rich. They literally steal from others. So we know this. So to say that he didn't try and cheat is absolutely ridiculous and naive. And then we already know that he did. Now, in 2016, we know that there were shenanigans there that Putin helped. In 2020, as we've discussed, those mail-in ballots for the pandemic are what kind of messed him up, because Karl Rove allegedly told a whistleblower some time ago, pre-2016, that if a state is within 3% on election night, you can cheat undetected. You can't do that with the mail-in ballots, of course. And all you need is like 10 counties or so to kind of mess around with some of the numbers. All right. So what happened in 2020? We had a pandemic, ironically, one that was preventable, but Trump didn't. And that meant all these mail-in absentee ballots, which is why Louis DeJoy was then closing up, removing mailboxes from heavily Democratic neighborhoods and dismantling mail sorting machines right before the election. They used some regular postal service protocol to do it, but they rushed it into that time. They couldn't just do it willy-nilly. So, they find some rules and regulations, and they just happened to do it that time. Okay. So in 2024, they couldn't take those chances. That's why they enlisted Elon Musk and his help, which is why Elon Musk is so close to Vladimir Putin. And between the two of them, they're obviously threatening to fire Trump from the job they put him into unless he can deliver Ukraine. And the way they do that is to let him know they've got the compromise on him from the Epstein files. Okay. I think all of that is pretty clear. All right. So how do you take these things that are pretty clear to see and convince the MAGA cult? So again, those that we reach in the edges, people who are Trump voters that aren't really in the cult, they care about their own pocketbooks. It doesn't matter till it affects them. And we've talked about that in other videos. But the cult itself, our friend, Dr. Geoff Grammer, Elon locked him out of his Twitter account. So he started a new one. He's on Twitter. He's on Substack. He just started here on YouTube. It's Geoff with the G, Geoff Grammer, Grammer. He is a psychiatrist and decorated um, retired Army colonel, and he's treated, you know, military personnel on the battlefield, taking teams out there, Afghanistan, other places. Uh, he is putting out these videos, and he wrote a piece for Salon recently about the psychology of a new ICE agent. What type of person would be attracted to this job? The new ICE agents. And he explores them, and you start looking at the MAGA cult. Now, he can't diagnose a patient, with them. He's not doing that because he's not sitting there treating a patient, but he can talk about the psychology of this. And so he now is talking about, he's put out videos about the psychology of the MAGA cult, okay? And how Governor Gavin Newsom is brilliantly using a psychological tool called mirroring, okay? With this press office putting out these social media posts with all the caps and weird language, and thank you for your attention to this matter, and your favorite governor, imitating, mirroring Trump's ridiculous Truth Social post. Exactly. And MAGA is losing their heads. Fox News losing their minds over this. And Trump, by the way, has, since this started, has stopped doing the all caps and all the weird stuff that he usually does in his Truth Social posts. The reason I think this is important is because it goes back to what I was saying when we were trying to reach voters who didn't know they've been lied to give them a lot of, I think Trump voters, a good many of them, maybe enough to make a difference in free and fair elections if we were to have them. They simply don't know what they don't know. And I think that these Gavin Newsom tweets mirroring, to use Dr. Grammer's term, psychologically mirroring Trump, has informed many MAGA about Trump's Truth Social posts that they didn't know about. If you're still having conversations with MAGA friends and family, and you tell them something and they look at you confused because they don't know. Well, no, I didn't know that. I mean, if Sean Hannity didn't tell me that, then I don't know it. If it's not on Newsmax or Fox News, it didn't happen. And they think you're making it up, even though it's provable. It makes sense. It's not some wild claim. You could tell them the information I just gave you from Grok and from AI, that Trump did not win the election because it is a 1%. It's a statistical almost impossibility that Trump would win all of those swing states in 2024. You can tell them that, and they're going to be confused because so many of these things they haven't heard. Okay. So by using this mirroring technique, what Dr. Grammer says is what Gavin Newsom is doing. He's not in your face, like punching MAGA in the face. He's kind of just showing them reality, and they don't really know how to deal with that. He's not castigating them or going after them for being MAGA, but by doing this and being hilarious about it, it's showing how silly and stupid and disturbing Trump is with his Truth Social post. Because I'll tell you something, the vast majority of Trump voters do not see these Truth Social posts of his. So when they're looking at Gavin Newsom doing this, you've seen some of these reactions where they're like, that's just ridiculous. He's just out. They literally don't know. Well, then other people are weighing in and telling them, and there's been some news stories, and there's just sort of crescendoing so that they get more information because they don't know what Gavin Newsom is doing. And they think he sounds terrible and silly and stupid. And oh my gosh. And then when they find out that Trump has been doing this for God knows how long now, how many years, and that they didn't know it because they're not on Truth Social, that information doesn't reach them. It's only reaching, if you're on Truth Social, you are a hardcore MAGA nutcase. You're all in. You don't care about truth. It is a cult. It is a religion with you. You're not the sharpest tool in the shed. But the rest of MAGA, who consider themselves to be normal or educated or whatever, they don't, and they might still be in the cult, but for other reasons. But they didn't know that Trump was doing this. So when they find out that what Gavin Newsom is doing is what Trump is doing, they're kind of taken aback by that. It's new information to them. See what I'm saying? And so it's interesting what psychiatrist Dr. Geoff Grammer has to say about this. I urge you all to follow him, subscribe to his YouTube channel, and if you're on Substack. By the way, I have a Substack. I haven't really gotten into it yet. I will very, very soon. um, but these videos are really instructive because while Dr. Grammer does have a political mind, he has run for Congress in the Democratic primary before, and he ended up endorsing the person who eventually won the primary and won the general election, and very narrowly. And we hope to keep that seat blue. So he's an ally of Congresswoman April Delaney. So he is, somewhat politically active, but approaching this issue, the psychology of the MAGA cult, is something I haven't really heard qualified people do. I've heard political pundits talk about it and maybe state some things that are obvious, but listening to an expert like Dr. Grammer, frankly, as a political strategist, I'm going to listen to it because we might have the inclination to just want to fight, 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 and go real hard on some things. And there are some instances where we do be real direct, and that's to let Trump and his people know, who are ruining this country, that we are fighting. But in dealing with the MAGA, when you're trying to win hearts and minds, getting in your face, sometimes hard negative advertising doesn't work with those people because they instantly put up their defenses. So you have to find another way. I'm not saying be all nice and gentle and all that, because no, we're fighting. We have to. But that's why this mirroring technique by Governor Gavin Newsom, by his press office, is just it's effective. It's effective. And the MAGA propagandists, say at Fox News and other places, know this. See, they know that they hide information from Trump supporters. They feed them only certain propaganda. And that's why you have, Dana Perino of the Five, who, by the way, during the primary, she did not support Trump. She and I were privately in touch, and she couldn't believe it when some of her colleagues were supporting Trump, because she sure didn't. So I've told you before, there's a lot of these people. Remember, I used to be a Republican operative. I know these people well. I left the party the day after they nominated Trump, because even if we all thought Trump was going to leave, but I still wanted nothing to do with these people if they were willing to even go this far. So I was done with the party. But so we've got Dana Perino saying, this is really terrible. Gavin Newsom should really stop doing it. He's looking ridiculous, without even acknowledging that he's doing the mirroring technique that Dr. Grammer mentions on purpose for Trump. So she's not even informing Fox News viewers that the reason Gavin Newsom is doing this is because it is exactly what Trump does on Truth Social. Because of only the small sliver of the serious nutcase MAGA cult are on Truth Social. So this was Fox News actively trying to misrepresent the situation by not really explaining why Gavin Newsom was doing this. And I find that to be very, very interesting. And what it does is reinforces what psychiatrist Dr. Geoff Grammer is telling us. So it's a good and interesting way to look at it. Again, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but I am a political strategist. And it's valuable for me to listen to what works and what doesn't, frankly, because we've got a country to save, folks, possibly the planet.